Hello and welcome. In the previous video, we used a visualizer I wrote to walk through each step of the RND function built into the Color Basic ROM, and also were able to view the internal state of the floating point accumulators as it went through it. But as with every code that I write always all the time, there were bugs. Today in this video, I'm going to talk about one bug in particular, how I discovered it, how I troubleshooted, and how I fixed it. Let's see if you can spot the bug before I did. Bonus. I discovered the bug because I wanted to verify that the numbers I was getting back from my visualizer actually matched what would happen if you called RND directly. So in one emulator, I just ran the app, and in the other emulator, I would just ask, what does RND return? And so I would step through the steps, and I found that they were almost the same. First 4 digits are the same, and then it's off by a little bit. And I thought, oh, well, floating point accumulators, they're just, wildly inaccurate. We've all had those times where we're multiplying 2 floating point integers, and then you get back a result that's like 0.01 or 0.97 or something. The Coco is so deterministic that really we shouldn't be seeing any variance, should we? So I ran it through the next bunch of steps, and that's what I ended up with there. And if I run RND of 0 over here, now it's not even close. Ugh. Nope, there's definitely something screwy here. So my next thought was, well, we're using this basic interpreter, and who knows what else is going on in the basic interpreter. Maybe something is perturbing the floating point accumulators. Maybe some of the values that get used by R&D are getting munged up somehow. So maybe we should just take the basic interpreter completely out of the equation. So next up on the left, I still had my code. And on the right, though, I had a version of my code, which rather than running through each of the steps that I had copied from Unraveled to my code, interspersed with all the visualizations, I just directly call into the ROM. So now whenever the code calls this routine, rather than doing all of the stuff that's inside the R&D function, we just call the R&D function directly. So once again on the left, I go through the 9 steps until we get to the end. And on the right, I just go 1, and it does the whole thing at once, calling into the ROM directly. And sure enough, I still see the discrepancy. In fact, this does look quite like what I saw from the basic interpreter. If I do the next number, and I do the next number here, again, now the wide discrepancy. So now I've taken the basic interpreter completely out of the equation, and I'm still getting this discrepancy. So the problem is probably narrowed down to 2 things. It could be this visualize and wait routine, which is responsible for displaying the values of all the floating point accumulators, or it could be all of this code that I copied from Unraveled. There are cases where Unraveled does have slight typos here and there, and maybe the code that I copied isn't exactly right. Maybe there's something there that's not a complete match for what's in the ROM. So I figured the easiest thing to do to continue narrowing this down is just to make visualize and wait a simple no-op. So I just had it return immediately, and let's see if that makes a difference. As with most of my ideas, this was a truly genius move, because this meant that the visualizer code would never show me the result of anything, including the final result. Perhaps you can hear me clicking the keyboard. It just sits there and does nothing because it's not printing anything. Of course, my reference over here is still fine because I didn't touch that. So that was dumb. So the compromise, which is not quite as pure, is to leave visualize and wait alone, but just comment out all the calls, except for the one at the very end. That means the step descriptions are not going to be quite in sync, but at least every time it prints something, I know it will be printing the final result. So now when I start up my visualizer, it skips all the way to the end and prints the final result. So I'll click over here in my reference, and now they match exactly. Next number, Next number, they match exactly. So now I really knew where the culprit was. There's something going on with visualize and wait. But what could be wrong with my beautiful code? I save all of my registers up front. I restore all of my registers at the end. I simply point to the memory of each portion of each floating point accumulator. I point to the screen buffer, and then I print bytes. Sometimes it's a block of 1 byte, sometimes it's a block of 4 bytes. I just find those bytes and put them in the appropriate area in the screen. At the end, this is where I print the decimal representation, the float point string of FPAL, and in that routine, I'm using the ROM to convert FPAL to ASCII, but I'm very carefully saving all of the floating point accumulator bytes first. And then after printing, I restore them later. So save and restore, go through each block of the floating point accumulators, 3 through 5, 1, 0, the subbyte, the product, and everything gets stored here in my own buffer that the ROM is not allowed to touch. So at this point, I think I'm saving everything I need to save. I think I'm restoring them, and yet still there is something wrong. So at this point, I decided I really need to start using a debugger. So I put back all of the visualize and wait calls. So my new plan would be to run my code with the full visualization step by step, but then use MAME to debug the ROM, to step through the ROM, so I could use MAME to inspect the memory of the floating point accumulators and see at what point they diverged. So I set a breakpoint at BF1F, which is where R&D sits in the ROM. And in MAME, I ran my reference R&D app that I was running before. This is the one that will, in a single step, just call the ROM itself. So I said go, and I set a memory window at 4F. That's the first byte of FPAL, that's the exponent, and then the 4 mantissa bytes follow it. So at the moment it was all zeros, which makes sense because that's the parameter that I passed to it. So here's my faulty code. So the very first step moves RVseed into FPAL. And in the ROM, that will end at BF45. So I step through the ROM. And once I'm at BF45, I can look at my memory here and compare it with my app. I see exponent of 0, 4F, C7, 52, 59, and then the sign byte comes after that, which is 7A. So that seemed correct so far. Next step is to do the multiply. Whoops, I mean move the R seed to FPA1. That shouldn't affect FPAL. In theory, I could be checking all the floating point accumulators and comparing them, but to keep things simple, I stuck with FPAL because I know that gets out of sync at some point. And sure enough, they match still. Now we do the multiply. And comparing, we have the correct 0 exponent bit in A1, CC, CE, F3 with the sign of 0. So far okay. Next we add this magic number to the low 2 of the product and move it to FPAL. That takes me to BF5C. And comparing, we have 0, A1, CC, 2B, FE, sign of 0. Next we add 05B0 to the high 2 bytes of the product and move that to FPAL. That takes us to BF67. And something has happened. Exponent of 0, mantissa 7F, 8F, 8E, 8F, 2BFE, 2BFE, 8E though, and 8F. This was the problem. So I discovered then that we're fine here. This is right after we added the 2 low order bytes of the product with that magic number and added it to FPAL. And then we're bad here. That's the point after we take the 2 high order bytes of the product, add it to its own magic number, and saved that in the high bytes of the FPAL mantissa. And the clue is right on your screen. I'm sure many of you are screaming and pulling out your hair and saying, dude, boopity, 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 boopity. Bow, boom, boom. Bow, boom, boom. So what's going on here is the ROM is doing a 4-byte addition. For the low bytes, it just does an add to D. For the high bytes, it's doing an add with carry. Anytime an addition overflows, the carry bit is set. and then you can use that carry bit in your next edition if you so choose. The add with carry mnemonic will not only add this to the B register, but will also add in the carry bit as well if it's set. And in that way, you can do addition with as many byte-long numbers as you want. But where is that carry bit? Why, it's in the condition code register. The condition code register which I was not saving and restoring in my visualize and wait routine, because I forgot about it. Anyway, doing this fixed everything. Just another day in the life of a hapless coder. Anyway, thanks for watching.